Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. We had a little bit of a technical issues. Um, Train boy, if you can, you can jump back in. Let's just keep an eye on it. It could just be an initial um, ping spike. You know what I mean? Just keep an eye on it as you jump back in. Apologize about that, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we are good to go right now. The track is optimum and it is warm, 30 degrees Celsius. As we see, I apologize. I was doing some other things in the league. Let's try to get it. So we got. Looks like we've got Casey Bennett working his way around. And if you're wondering, a little bit of a different thing looking today. The sound is back. I apologize. Stefan Buckley. Steam OBS decided to change a bunch of my settings. So that's definitely an interesting one, to say the least. But if you're looking at Casey Bennett's car, looks a little different, and that's right, because he has a Rick and Morty special livery with Rick in the back giving everybody the bird. As we see him working his way around the track through turn one. Alex Arduin right behind him as they're working their way through. Track is definitely going to be a very interesting one for these drivers in the grid here through sector 2 coming up to sector 3 as he works is nice and tight. The Porsches are looking super strong, so we'll definitely have to see where he places himself. He was looking in the top 5 originally. Ooh, your internet is freaking out, so you may not be able to race. What a shame there. Definitely see definitely maybe restart your whole entire computer and turn it back on, or restart your router and see if that works as well. As we see Casey Bennett working his way through the final corner and onto the back straight. Him and Alex are doing nose to tail. What can these Porsche drivers do? Casey Bennett 36.6. We have Alex Arduin 34.4. Smashes it out of the park. Jaden Munoz 36 flat. Stefan Buckley says, miss you guys, LFM tonight instead, though, with a crying face emoji. We miss you too as well, as we see LaRock coming through, end up to Sector 3 in the Mercedes. The P2 finisher of last week's race at Paul Ricard with the rain. This race is definitely going to be a different one. Ada Hasbrock, 1.4 off the pace. Byrne, 1.4 off the pace of Alex Arduin, 1.487. Munoz, P4. Casey Bennett, P5. Pedora, P6 in the Aston Martin. Lloyd, P7. Shuffler, P8. Carter Bennett bringing himself P9. Chestnut, P10. Cribbs, welcome back to Cribbs. He was with us. LaRock slides himself up to P7. 2.1 seconds off the pass. Cribbs used to race with us originally when we were still BRL, but now at GTMR. He has came to return in this race. He is sitting there in P12, 2.6 off of Arduin. Jonathan Piask, he was a newer driver, had to miss out on a couple races, but we're happy to see him back racing with us in that McLaren. He's sitting there P13, 3.6. Louis Bernard, 3.7. Alan Zhu, 4.2. James Parks, 5.1. Katz, 6.5. Trying to see something new. Here comes Sean New in that all-white McLaren, looking super racy. Wilson Fernandez still in the pits. Judkins still in the pits. Irfan working his way around the grid. Doppler still trying to find a lap. A lot of these drivers still having to work with each other, coincide, figure out how they're going to make things happen here at Zandvoort. As we see this beautiful white McLaren work his way up on this downhill, and around the bend he goes. Nice and tight, nice and smooth. Here he comes with this McLaren, catches the brakes. We have yellow flag in the last corner. That looks like to be 188. Alan Zhu moving out of the way for all the other drivers as they go through. Matt Byrne now into P4. Casey Bennett slots himself into P3. Jaden Munoz, P2, 9/10 off the pace of Alex Arduin. So the times are starting to drop as the drivers start putting in the laps. Now the question is where's everybody going to shuffle in towards the end of the race? New coming around here up to the final Two right-hand turns. Let's see, Irfan now slots himself. Irfan must be up to P6 with that Honda. 1.170 off the pace of Alex Arduin in the leading Porsche. New crosses the line, puts himself P20. Let's take a look. Judkins should be... He's going to have Pandora on the back end of him. Judkins is not on a flyer yet, so let's take a look who are the bigger movers up in the front. Louis Bernard up 5/10. This will slot him up one more spot, put him right behind Yor in that P16 spot ahead of John. Ooh, now he's got 8/10 coming out into Sector 3. Hopefully he can hold this with the Mercedes, because that 8/10, in fact, Delta's showing 1 second, so he'll jump ahead of Yor, put him 2.5. So if he's able to keep this going here, we still have 13 minutes of 8 at Hasbrock, 2/10 off the pace, jumping up to P2. He's taking a stab with that Bentley on Alex Arduin. Here comes Louis, 1.3. 1.3 will put him up to P13. Crosses the line, P13.022 off the pace of Carter Bennett. Chestnut slide himself P11 here. What do we have? Any big movers up here? Alex Arduin is slower on his time now. Brian Katz, 7/10 up on that red Audi, working his way through the grid. The VR driver here in the league, Fox, eating the popcorn as the cat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's take a look. Your driver, LaRock, P10 right now. He is about a 10th off the pace of Pandora in that P9, so he could really grow and move up in the league as we see Katz working his way around. Wilson still has yet to set a lap, and Judkins is still yet to set a lap. So these two drivers, ooh, Fernandez looks like he's coming out of the pits, and he is. So everybody's trying to cycle themselves through, trying to find time and space. Everybody knew this track was going to be difficult. Your 3/10 up. Looks like he's rocking a new livery. He's got a silver livery this race here as he's working his way down the back straight and crosses the line, improves, puts himself into P16, less than a 10th behind Shuffler in that P15 spot in that port. Happy to see Shuffler back again. Matt Byrne, 4/10 up in the Picasso McLaren as he's coming back around the bend here up to the second to last corner. Now the final one going super wide, running the curb. Now the McLaren got hit with a BOP coming in before this race. Not as bad as the Porsche. Let's take a look. Slots himself P3. 6/10 off of Arduin's 34.4. Irfan now up 4/10 on his time. Slots himself up to P5 as he's reeled in Doppler about a 10th. So right now, Hasbrock and Arduin super into that 134 range while everybody else is hovering into the low 35s here. Let's take a look. Who else do we have? A big mover. Shuffler now 6/10 working his way through the back half of this track onto the front straight. He's going to have Fernandez in front of me. He's P9. Beautiful job putting himself into that top 10 of qualifying there. As we take a look, Wilson Fernandez. He's going to have Arduin in front of him, so hopefully he can get a nice tow with Arduin in front of him in that Porsche. Arduin is going to have a car in front of him as well. Looks like he's going to have New in front of him. So Arduin's definitely trying to work through the grid. A lot of these drivers know that a lot of these drivers are on fast laps. Cagnes is rated with 2 people. Cagnes, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Everybody that came from Cagnes' stream, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, welcome to GT Meister Racing. We are at Zandvoort here for the GT3 races. Wilson Fernandez is up 2/10 on his time in the purple Mercedes-Benz as they come through the series as we watch him through. Now Arduin's going to have to try to make his way through. They know that the blue flag's coming. Sean is moving out of the way. He's going to allow Arduin. He knows he's fast. Wilson Fernandez is on a flyer. Ooh, catches a little bit of that curb. He's still up 5/10 on his overall time, so this will put him up on a lap. Don't know what he's provisionally going to set here. It does show that his last lap, his out lap, was a 14:08, but a lot of that was him sitting in the pits. Cagnes, how are you, good sir? See what he does as it crosses the line. Where does he slot himself? P9 had a shuffler, 4,000s. Here comes Irfan out of the pits in the white Honda. See Judkins, he's about to cross the line. See what he can do. Ooh, P17. So it's going to put him down there. So we see Shuffler start to roll back out. Alan Zhu up 5/10. The P21 driver trying to reel in that group in front of him. So if he can hold this through in the race and through the lap, he's going to slot himself up right around John Piast in that P19 spot there. So, but John Piast is also up 2/10 on his time as well. As Judkins is up a 10th, but right now Zhu is on a flyer. So Judkins is going to have to wait or work his way through. Irfan being very super helpful, moving out of the way for these drivers to work their way through the grid. As we see Katz and Parks in the pits. Zhu still 4/10, working his way. See Shuffler in the back there. John Piast up 5/10 now, so let's take a look. Where is Piast? Piast is coming around the final couple corners onto the main straight, 8/10, utilizing the dirt. Ooh, did that invalidate? Doesn't look like, yeah, it looks like he did improve, but there was a big enough margin separation between him and Yort. 3,000ths of a second, ladies and gentlemen, between 18 and 19. So that is definitely piling up there as we see the Porsche driver of Alan Zhu crosses the line, gets about a 10th from Sean New. So let's take a look. What other big movers do we have? Andre Lloyd. Where is he? Andre Lloyd in the Pac-Man machine. Woohoo! Look at the curve that he just took right there, everybody. Oh, man. Cagnes in the chat just had a race at Silverstone. I hate this track, but I think it was my very best race over there. Well, I wish you the best of your race over there at Silverstone. I hope you had a very good result. But right now, Zandvoort is the track to be had as we watch Andre Lloyd 2/10 up on his time. Irfan up 4/10. We're going to be jumping over with him very shortly. Let's take a look. Where's the 404 driver? The 404 is coming out through. He's a couple corners behind Lloyd, so we'll definitely keep an eye. He is not actually improving his time now. Wilson Fernandez 8/10. See Andre Lloyd as he crosses the line. He improves the P9. Wilson Fernandez 8/10. That 8/10, if he can hold it, he'll be able to cross the line and leapfrog himself into the top 5, maybe top 6. So let's see what he can do. Now 1.1, P3, 4/10. Ooh, dang, 2/10 ahead, 2,000s ahead of 200s, I believe. Sorry, 200. Is it hundreds? Yeah, 200s ahead of Matt Byrne. As I do not know how to tell time here for this qualifying session. As we see LaRock working his magic here into Sector 2 and around this hairpin before he enters into Sector 3. He is not. Do we have any other big movers? No, we do not have any big movers here. As Cagnes says in the chat, for his race at Silverstone, P7 to P5, 4/10 missed to P4. Ooh, that is just a rough one. Very rough, very rough. As we see LaRock, he is not improving on his time, but Jaded Munoz is, and he slots himself P6 in the standings. 5/10s back are doing definitely looking very, very racy here as the drivers are all starting to shuffle into the pits. With 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to play, the question is are we going to see an F1 strategy pit out? Like, are we just going to see a lot of drivers start piling out of the grid to run. That would definitely be an interesting one, to say the least. Because I would be shocked to see that happen. The whole grid just pile out, just flutter out. And it looks like we are. A lot of these drivers are coming back out to set a fast lap here. Let's take a look. Carter Bennett in the golf-designed BMW. Ooh, a little bit of a snap kick there. Was up 2/10, lost it. We'll just put that on the commentator curse for everybody. As the BMW works his way down across the line. Does not improve. He's got Chestnut right behind him in the Ferrari. Irfan up 4/10 in the NSX. The NSX got a massive power nerf here as the BOP hit, so he's still trying to reel in as much as he can, but 5/10 right now as he comes through up just from Sector 1 to Sector 2 here. Sector 2 will start right there as he crosses that line, as he works his way on the downhill right. Yes, the NSX did get a big power nerf here for the BOP for the PC side of things. So the NSX driver definitely trying to reel that in, but he's up 4/10. So 4/10 will slot him in into P3 right behind Aiden if he could hold it. But if he can get a little bit faster, it's definitely going to be looking super great. But we're going to jump down to Casey Bennett, because Casey in the Rick and Morty car is sitting there in P8, and he is 3/10 up on his time. So 3/10 for him will put him up by Jaden in that Audi. See what he can do when he crosses the line. How much more does he improve? Well, P6. Nice job right there. Here comes Irfan, 4/10 onto the front straight. To P3, he did find the time that he needed. 3/10 off the pace. Curious on how everybody's tires are doing, considering it's 31 degrees Celsius. Of course, everybody's going to be a little upset because after this qualifying session, these drivers, their race is going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning. So right now, the way we do things at GT Meister Racing, for those that are new in the chat and do not know, free practice starts at 11 in the morning, which starts at 11 in the morning on Saturday. And then qualifying starts at 8 in the morning, or 8 in the noon, on Saturday. But the races are held on Sunday. Generally speaking, it's pretty much close to the same way that they do it in real life. So it allows for a good variation and different time races. So for this race, we are at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we see Carter Bennett. He's 5/10 up. He's right behind Irfan. He's trying to make something happen. That 5/10 will put him into the top 10 ahead of Shuffler. So he's definitely pushing that BMW M4 like nobody's business. But can he hold it in together all the way through? Ooh, a little wiggly. 4/10 is all he needs right now to slot himself into that top 10 start. He is harnessing his Supermax. For those that do not know, or that's in the Discord, Carter is a massive Max Verstappen fan, and 4/10 for him would put him into the top 10. P10 for him, ladies and gentlemen, the BMW driver, putting in a stellar performance. He's still up a little bit on his time, as Alex Larock is working his way through with the Mercedes-Benz. He is the only driver right now that is improving on his time, even though qualifying is over. Can Larock snatch the top 10 from Carter? Does not look like he's going to. He's bouncing in and out of fast lap and not fast lap. Ooh, here he goes on the front straight. Ooh, he does improve. He slots himself up to P12, ladies and gentlemen. Huge shout out to him as well. Irfan is in the pits. Wilson Fernandez trying to make something happen. He's 7 seconds off the pace. He's going to dive into the pits. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Ardoin bringing home the podium finish here at Zandvoort. in the Porsche, doing a 134.485. Beautiful lap right there, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful lap with Aiden Hasbrock, P2, and Mohammed Irfan, P3. Wilson Fernandez, 4. Matt Burns bringing it in around P5. Doppler, 6. Munoz, 7. Casey Bennett, 8. Andre Lloyd, 9. That's definitely going to be an interesting one. The track is optimum. The track is cold. So now the drivers are definitely figuring out what they want to do. So we're going to do a little track down the hill. And, hey, deleted Fox, there you are, good sir. Now let's take a look. Let's go down the grid. The famous grid walk, everybody. As we see Alex R doing in the Porsche, GTMR Porsche. Aiden Hasbrock in that green Bentley. Mohammed Irfan in the Honda NSX. Wilson Fernandez in the Mercedes AMG. Matt Byrne in the McLaren. Doppler in the Porsche. Jaden Munoz, P7 in that Audi. Then we have Casey Bennett in the Rick and Morty Porsche, followed by the Andre Lloyd in the Pac-Man Porsche as well. Carter Bennett in the BMW. Chris Shuffler in the GTMR white Porsche. LaRock in the Mercedes. Pedora, we haven't really talked much about him, but strong, nice finish in qualifying. P13 in the Aston Martin. Chestnut, good strong finish for him. P14, the only Ferrari on the grid. Cribbs bringing in a P15 in the BMW. Louis Benara in the P16 in that Mercedes-Benz. Judkins sitting there, P17 in the Audi. Then we have Chrysler. You're in what would look like a Mercedes-colored McLaren in P18. John Piastri in P19 in that McLaren. Sean New in the McLaren. So we have a little bit of a McLaren jamble here. As we have Alan Zhu P21 in that Porsche. Jake Johnson in the BMW. James Parks in the McLaren, followed by Brian Katz in the Audi, ladies and gentlemen. And that is your grid. And we're going to do a little bit of a slide back, a little cool little action here as the camera moves really, really, really fast. I like to have fun with the camera, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And that is your grid for GT Meister Racing. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very tight track. It is a very quick track. Track is optimum. It's 20 degrees Celsius. The grid is working their magic to get out on the order. We are going to have a full formation lap before the start of the race. The track is a little cold, but the drivers know what to do here. Give me a little prediction. Who do you think is going to come out victorious in this race? Who do you think is going to be the big mover at the start? I already know Fox's answer. Of course, it's LaRock. As we get started here in this race, let's take a look and see. Grid should be getting going here. New starting in the pits. We have 44, unless he's accidentally hit the wrong button. Shuffler is in the pits. I think Shuffler may have accidentally didn't hit the button. Ooh, this is definitely going to be an interesting one as well. So now that's going to shuffle some of these other drivers up. As we see Alex are working his way around the grid. This starting S piece is going to be a tricky one for these drivers. Ardoin was telling me he was complaining with his tires overheating at the start. He was having a little bit of issues with the temperature, so that's definitely going to be a big one. Movers that we're going to have to see, Jaden Munoz. He's been super racy. He won Paul Ricard based on a strategy. Can he win on a strategy here at Zandvoort? That's going to be an interesting one as well. Casey Bennett, Andre Lloyd, they have a little bit of a history racing next to each other. Sometimes there's a tap, sometimes there's not a tap. That's going to be an interesting one as well. Ichigo in the chat, Pog. What is up, Ichigo? How is it going? So the question is will Casey get through without the issues? Carter Bennett, He is looking super strong. He is a Max Verstappen fan. He is harnessing his inner super max moment here. So we'll definitely see how he can do in the Golf BMW as he works his way around the grid here. Also taking a look, Jackson Cribbs, his first race here at GTMR. What can he showcase in his performance? Was P14 in the all-black BMW? Was that all he had, or was there more? So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on him as he works his way through the grid as well. Alan Zhu, we know he's got pace. He hasn't raced in about 4 weeks. I kind of got him addicted to RC car stuff. That's my fault. I'll take the blame. And we'll definitely see, can he reel the grid back in as we start to see everybody start to line up. Bailey in the chat, goated engineer is back, to be honest. So I don't know if it was really the engineer or more the driver, Bailey, as we start to see everybody line up side by side. Here they go around the bend. We are going to be going green here shortly. Drivers are ready. Viewers are ready. Commentators ready. We're going at the sound of the tone and the green lights. Green, green, green. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ada Hasbrock looking on the outside. Alex Arduin taking a look on the inside. Here we come up into turn one. Irfan with a light tap, but manages to save it with Arduin in front of him. Arduin getting a bit of a pull as the drivers work their way through the S's as they come through. Aiden having to go super wide. Arduin now trying to cover the inside. Irfan on the outside of the Bentley as they work their way through the hairpin, as they work their way up the hill here. Ooh, as we see, looks like Doppler now on the inside of Bird. Bird having to try to cover with Munoz on the back end as they work their way up the grid. Bird giving him the little bit of the squeeze door. Doppler having to lift it just a pinch as he works his way down through the grid here as they come through. Casey Bennett up to P8 right now. It's a little different. Usually I'm used to seeing Casey Bennett in the all-red Porsche, but he has managed to survive himself through the grid here as Hasselbrock still all over the back end of Arduin, and we start to see the drivers work their way through. Judkins is up to P14 as we see John Piast now sending it down on the inside. LaRock on to Curbs. LaRock was the biggest follower as he fell back, but Curbs now slide himself up to P12 as they go through the grid here. Everybody looking super racy here in this grid as we see James Parks back there with Jake Johnson as they go through. Cats up 3 spots. Arduin now separates himself from Aiden Hasbrock as they come down through here in the grid order. Ada Hasbrock P2, Irfan P3, the Honda Power trying to chase down the Bentley, but the Nerf is hurting him a little bit as they work their way down the grid here. Burn on Fernandez as they come through here. Everybody's trying to cycle themselves through and work their way through. Question is pit strategy. Alan Zhu with the fastest lap. Now Brian Katz with the fastest lap here at the start of the race, and these guys are just putting in time after time as they come through. Jaden Munoz now on the back end of Doppler with Casey Bennett on track to keep up with him as they start to separate themselves. Andre Lloyd now getting a little bit of a separation from Carter Bennett. Carter Bennett still into that P10 spot as everybody works their way through the grid as they flow through this track here. As we're going to work our way down the grid, ladies and gentlemen. Louis Benara trying to keep it super racy. Christian Judkins on the back end of Jonathan Piast with LaRock in front of him trying to make a move on Cribbs as they work their way through this very super tight hairpin. Who is going to be the big mover and who's going to be the big loser under the braking? Cribbs looks like he lost a little bit. LaRock now down on the inside. He's going to send it. Cribbs leaving the door open. Can LaRock get the pull on Cribbs onto the little short shoot back straight coming up to the other hairpin here in this race? LaRock taking a look, catches the brake super early, but now Jonathan Piast on the back end of them as well as they work their way through the grid here as we see Sean New still trying to work his way up to James Parks and Chris Shuffler that's in this grid order as well coming through. We're going to slot right back up to the grid in the front. LaRock loses the back end of it a little bit, but on the front side of it, here comes Irfan on Hasselbrock. He's going to take a look on the inside, but doesn't. Checks out of it as they work their way through. Byrne still with Doppler and Munoz out of the back end of it. Casey Bennett, the Porsche drivers 1, 5, 7, and 9 trying to make things happen here at Zandvoort as they work their way through here, as well as everything else. If there's a car people would like to see, let me know. I will try to work my magic to get there, get you with it. As we see Wilson Fernandez lost a little bit. He's going to have Andre Lloyd right behind him. Looks like Wilson Fernandez with a little bit of a front end damage, possibly lost it off the track as he works his way magic down the grid. Everybody still single filing it through this race at Zandvoort as we see Wilson Fernandez catching a lot of curb right there. You can see trying to cut that corner there to make a good line shot through this left-hander, or through this right-hander, I apologize, as he works his way through here. He's going to have to try to separate what he can to work his way through. We're going to jump back down the grid here. Where is Christian Judkins? He's going to just got Louis Benara, but Louis Benara is looking all over the back end of it. So right now it's Audi, Mercedes. Ooh, Jonathan Piask. What happened to him? Ooh, he's got a lot of front end damage. And he's going to have his buddy Christopher Shuffler right behind him. So right now, Jonathan Piask is going to have to try to milk what he can for 5 minutes before the pit window opens. And then he's going to have to go for the long strat, ladies and gentlemen. As we see now Hasselbrock now putting the pressure on the leader of Alex Arduin. Arduin cannot get the separation he wants to get in the Porsche. And that is definitely going to be a bit of a pain in the butt with Jaden Munoz now back end of the Doppler here as he goes super wide. Now here comes Casey Bennett on the back end of Munoz. And up the hill they go. Let's take a look. What else do we have in the battle section of this race? Jonathan Piask did allow Christopher Shuffler through. So now that's going to allow Brian Katz all over the back end of Jonathan Piask now as they work their way up the hill. So he still has 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to play, and he's probably going to pit, do an early strat to pit, and then try to take all the, ooh, he goes super wide, manages to save it. Amazing by him there. As we jump back through, Irfan on the dirt. Irfan's tires must be getting a little bit warm because here comes Matt Byrne in this race. Everybody, as he dives down into the few corners here. Let's take a look. What else do we have battle-wise? Byrne with Doppler still on the back end of him. Now the question is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in this grid and you're flowing the way everybody else is flowing, what is your strat for pit rotations? I know it's still early, so we have a yellow 513. That's going to be 513 is James Parks. Something interesting happened there with James Parks in this race. Ooh, Doppler goes super late with the 886, and 886 is going to be Jake Johnson in the back end of the grid. So looks like Jake Johnson and James Parks, they're still sitting there. James Parks looks like he's going to retire to the pits. What a shame there for James Parks there for this race, as we see Carter Bennett. Now he's going to have Pedora on the back end. Pedora is an Xbox driver who's joining. Chrysler York. Ooh, getting attacked all over. He's going to have Trash Panther, a.k.a. Chestnut, in front of him with Christopher Shuffler, Louis Benara, Alan Zhu. This battle for P15, the last point in the championship standings here. All duking it out here through this lovely bend. Aiden Hasbrock with the fastest lap of the race here. Ooh, Shuffler looking on the outside. York covers the inside, catching a lot of the curve. Shuffler, you see the bounce of that Porsche as he comes through that fast right-hander. Up to the other fast right. Looks like the Ferrari getting a beautiful run. Louis Benara trying to make something happen. Shuffler's going to try it around the outside of the McLaren driver. Here comes Louis Benara. Beautiful run by the Mercedes-Benz driver onto the Porsche McLaren. Shuffler looks to the inside. Switchbacks to the outside. York covers over into the corner. Louis having to check out. Allen Zeus turning to take a look on the inside as they work their way through. Here they go through the bend down into turn 1. We're going to jump right back aboard. Everybody cycled themselves way through there, separating themselves. Matt Byrne looks to have possibly a little bit of damage. He fell back. Don't know what happened to Matt Byrne here, but he's fallen himself down to P10. So he's going to have to work his magic back through the slower part of the grid. But we're about 1 minute and 20 seconds away from the pit rotation to where the drivers are going to have to pit and cycle themselves through. So that's going to be an interesting one to say the least. So we're going to work our way back down and take a look. Let's take a look. We have, Doppler. He's back down here with Judkins back in 12. So I'm guessing Doppler and Byrne had a little bit of an issue here in this race and falling their way back. We are back in this battle here. So we see LaRock. He is trying to chase down Judkins with Doppler ahead of him. So we see Louis Benara on the back end of York. Where is Shuffler? Shuffler looks like he fell back a little bit. He did. So we're seeing a lot of cycling with these drivers as they try to push themselves to try to move up, because pit rotation is going to be key here in this race. That's definitely going to be the interesting one, to say the least, as Shuffler is trying to make something happen. Cats all over the back end of Jonathan Piast. Take a look. Jackson Cribbs sitting there, P11, looking super racy here. But he's going to have Doppler right behind him. He's going to have to work some sort of magic. And he's got Matt Byrne on the back end of Carter Bennett. Byrne now past Pedora. Byrne's going to take a look on the outside, inside, in a very tight. Is he going to send it into the hairpin? He does. Carter covers over it. So now as they work their way up the hill, Byrne is going to have to try to make something stick. He's going to have to try to make something around. The pit window is open. Carter Bennett looking super squirrely here. Byrne trying to look. Ooh, this is going to be a tight one. Byrne's going to want to try to make a move. Goes to the outside. Carter covers the inside. Byrne, can he get a beautiful run? Carter's tires look like they're worn. Here comes a switchback maneuver of the McLaren. Oh, Carter, super hard defense. Byrne now switchbacks on the inside. Here comes the drag race. Oh, can Byrne outbrake Carter down into the right-hander? Super late on the brakes. Carter covers the inside. A little bit of a tap. Ooh. Byrne knows he's going to have to try to make something move. He sees the tap. He knows his pace. He knows he's technically not in contention with Carter. Carter's still trying to race it. Ooh, side by side. Here they go. Byrne around the outside. Beautiful move. Onto the front straight, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, what a beautiful run right there by Byrne down into turn 1. Here they go. Now Pedora now trying to make a look on Carter. So now Byrne's going to have to try to work his magic as well on Carter Bennett. He saw how Byrne did it. The question is, can he make it stick with Doppler all over the back end of Jackson Cribbs here? As Jake Johnson said, someone blasted a song in the VC, and me and Parks both crashed out of that. Ooh, what a shame there. As they go through, as we see Aiden Hasbrock working his magic on Alex Arduin. We're going to be jumping along board that here momentarily here in this race. Ooh, these three are just nose to tail here with the pit window open with 47 seconds left to play. I'm going to ask the chat. Now the chat, I'm going to ask them, where would you be in this strategy? Where would you pit? Would you pit early and try to hope that you could undercut everybody based on how everybody's having issues in the track? Or would you try to just tough it out and hope for the best? As we're going to take a look, we're going to drop back down and take a look. Wilson Fernandez, Casey Bennett, 5 and 6 right now. going through Munoz and Jaden. Jaden dives into the pits. He's going for the early strategy. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting one. Can it play out the way he wants it to? As right now, we have a massive battle for technically P8. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, 13, and 14. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 to 14th, all with, everybody within a second of each other working their way through. And Carter's going to have to try to work his magic because all this is going to do is jumble in everybody. Bailey says smash move, go on wet tires. That is a strategy. It's not a good strategy, but it is a strategy nonetheless. Shuffler is in the pits. Piask is going to go into the pits as well, as we see the driver starting to cycle through here in this race. Let's take Munoz is, wow, that is going to cycle him all the way to the back of the grid as we start to see everybody settle in this race here. Let's take a look. Doppler in the back here. He's going to have Judkins and Cribbs in front of him, but Cribbs' BMW is wider than a boat. If anybody's ever played Assetto Corsa Competizione. Bailey saying, I got the best strats for real. I don't know. I think it's more Jaden strats. Bailey says worked last time. Bailey, Jaden was lucky, and that's coming from me. But hey, we're back to racing, ladies and gentlemen. As looks like Hasselbrock had a little bit of an issue, fell back. Irfan 1.2 off Arduin, so that's going to be a little bit of a breather for Arduin. But now this battle in the mid-pack is definitely developing and growing as we see Doppler still on the back end of Judkins. LaRock still working his way in. Pedora pushing Carter Bennett to the best of his ability. And also that makes me ask, Bailey, you wanted to race in PC. Where are you? Why aren't you racing with us, Bailey? As we see Doppler and Judkins work their way through. Judkins all over the back end of here we come through. Ooh. Oh, that uphill part, man. You got to catch the brakes the best of your ability. And it looks like the brake lights on that Audi are completely shot because I only see one light, and that is the little third one on the back end. Bailey says, Hoop is my goat. Yes, we know Hoop is your love interest, Bailey, but weren't you saying that you wanted to join us and race on PC? As we now see John Piaski is out, and he is driving. Shuffler is, looks like Shuffler is done with the race. What a shame there for Shuffler. Curious to see what had happened with him, but Joshua is on the push. He's going to try everything he possibly can as these guys are still working their magic here in this race. Let's take a look. Wilson Fernandez all over the back end of Casey Bennett in that Porsche, trying to make things happen there. Pedora taking a look on the outside, inside. Carter definitely covering over. Pedora super late on the brakes. Man, these guys are just having a field day right now because Pedora is trying to get past, Judkins is trying to get past, Doppler's trying to get past, and LaRock is just sitting back there going, hey, man. We take a look. This battle here in the midfield is it's just developing. That's all I'm going to say here. So hopefully Munoz can pull off something strong because I don't think the early strat was really the right call. He could have still gotten pace to catch everybody here. But let's take a look as we see Doppler. He's looking on possibly on the inside. No, he did not. He backed out of that as well. Judkins still covers the inside. Can the Porsche get the run? Ooh. Judkins gets the run out of the hole. Here comes Doppler, side by side. Here they go. Heavy into braking. Cribbs covers. Ooh, Judkins makes the move. Now here comes Doppler on the inside, but Cribbs is going to have the run, though, on the inside of the apex for the corner. Doppler is going to have to work his magic side by side. Ooh, beautiful line. He covers over. Cribs is going to have to slow up and check up right behind Doppler, but now here comes LaRock on the back end of Judkins, at the back end of Cribs as they work their way down the front straight. Pedora still working his magic. Bailey says because he has a 24-hour race. Oh, you don't need to do that 24-hour race. You don't have to do that 24-hour race. 24-hour races are overrated, other than Barcelona 24 hours. As we see, Munoz has caught up to the back end of P19, Brian Katz in there as they work their way through. Irfan now, he is 7/10 off the pace. We're going to jump along board. 7/10 off the pace of the leader. Alex Arduin in the Porsche. Ada Hasbrock in the back there on the outside looking in. Andre Lloyd on the back end of Matt Byrne. Pedora still 2/10 off the back end of Carter Bennett, making Carter Bennett work for it here in this race. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one, to say the least, I will have to say. So we see LaRock, Doppler, Judkins taking a look on the inside, switching back to the outside. This battle for this top 10 spot, oh my God, this is really developing here, everybody. Carter harnessing his inner Supermax here in this race. Bailey, man. What? Man. Come on, man. You could be racing here with your GOAT friend, Munoz, as the race. Doppler taking a look, getting a beautiful run on the back end. He's going to try the outside. Judkins is going to cover the inside. Judkins is going to allow Doppler through. Very interesting strategy that he's going to allow. Probably going to allow Doppler through. He probably thinks Doppler's got a faster pace of a car. He's going to let Doppler through, let Doppler push. If Doppler pushes, it could cause, Pedora to make a mistake here, to take the attack towards everybody. So let's take a new. New is in the pits. All right, New is in the pits. Doppler, Judkins, Cribs. Looks like Cribs has fallen back a little bit. Pedora, Carter, Casey. So right now the grid is starting to look a little bit pit interested. They're going to dive into the pits. Doppler now reeling in Pedora in that Aston Martin, while Pedora is still trying to make the move on Carter Bennett. The track is super hard to pass. Temps are coming up to 1 degree, so now we're at 21 degrees Celsius. We have 0 wind. Pedora taking a look on the inside. He works his magic around the outside. Carter Bennett, very strong performance. P8 right now. So we have 8, 9, and 10 freight training themselves with 12 and 11 in the background looking in. P2 is 3/10 off the pace. P5 is 4/10 off the pace. P4. Doppler gets a beautiful run. Pedora is in the pits. So now the question is what is Carter Bennett going to do? Is he going to respond to Pedora, who's following him, to dive into the pits? Because right now, Pedora could come out and clean traffic as the leaders are coming through the downhill right-hander as they work their magic through here in this race. Because right here we have the NSX driver of Irfan on the back end of the GTMR, Alex Arduin. Ooh, Irfan looking nice and racy. Pedora's in the pits. Jonathan Piasca's in the pits. He knows he's just going to need to take his normal standard pit. Well, let's take a look. Where is Doppler? Doppler now on the back end of Carter Bennett. Carter Bennett, super light. Ooh, Doppler gets a run with the Porsche. Through the right, Doppler's going to try to switch back, coming up to this hairpin. Carter Bennett looking a little very defensive, very aggressive defensive driving here. Doppler tries to switch. Carter comes back around. Carter gets a better line out the hole. Judkins is now on attack mode. Carter now covering the inside. Here they go through. All right, now the question is, does Carter pit? Does he stay out on this lap? Because Pedora did pit, even though we're on the 37-minute mark and 27 of the pit window. We still have 7 minutes before the halfway mark. Here comes Doppler. He's been able to line up a beautiful line here. Carter stays out. Doppler takes a look. LaRock goes into the pits. That's going to allow Chestnut through. Doppler tries to make something. Nope. Pedora P19 now 1 second off the pace of Cat. So if Pedora pushes and gets past Cat, he can make something happen. Doppler's just trying every line he possibly can on Carter Bennett. Doppler knows his pace. Carter switchbacks, covers. Oh, it's a little bit of a tap there. Carter Bennett's definitely moving a whole lot. Ooh, that is definitely not what you want to see on the stream. Ooh, that is definitely... Doppler's race is over there. What a shame there for him as well with Carter there in the race. Carter Bennett definitely switchbacking a lot there on the defensive. As we see Judkins and Doppler looking super racy here. As Judkins has now separated himself, we're going to jump aboard Irfan here. As we see, Irfan is in the pit, so he's going to be the first of the leaders other than Munoz to dive in the pits. So curious of where he's going to file out with the leaders here as well. So we got a little bit of a light flashing, so definitely this is an endurance event for the PC drivers. As we see Andre Lloyd, he's dove into the pits. Take a look. Where's Wilson Fernandez? He is all over the back end of Casey Bennett. Casey Bennett still trying to work his magic through as well. Ooh, Casey Bennett losing the back end on the downhill right. The endurance of this track is playing into effect. Here, you can see it, these drivers trying to hold in as much as they can. Let's take a look. We're going to jump back a little bit and take a look. What was Casey Bennett doing when he was coming through here in this? Let's take a look. Did he get a little bit of a snap? Ooh, you can see the snap right there from his car as he was losing the back end of it. That is definitely going to be a tough pusher in this race. I know a lot of drivers were talking about the front left going almost yellow to orange here in this race. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one as Wilson Fernandez gets past Katz here. I'm going to guess that Casey Bennett is going to dive into the pits. He does not. Carter Bennett stays in the pits. He's going to repair as much damage. Doppler is out of the race here as Katz covers the inside. Casey Bennett's going to squeeze right by, allow Casey Bennett. As Carbonado says in the chat, bro, I got taken out by Doppler from the looks of it. That could be very questionable. Of course, the stewards will have to decide on that as well. As we go through here in this race, as we see Munoz now all over the back end of Andre Lloyd. And this is a battle for position. So Andre Lloyd definitely winning out on Jaden Munoz. And this is his battle for position is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. As he covers. Ooh, Munoz definitely trying to make it work. As we see Irfan P11 there, working his way through everything. Question is, who is going to, what is the pit strategy everybody's going to go with? You know what I mean? Because right now, Munoz is falling behind. Irfan is falling behind. The track is definitely a tough one for the drivers. Question is who is going to, stretch this out in hopes to make it work? Because right now, the pit orientation, is, right now, Munoz, we are expecting him to hopefully pull off a strat where he was right up by Irfan, and he has not. Andre Lloyd, a driver who was behind Munoz, is now actually leapfrogged Andre Lloyd. So Alex Arduin is in the pits. The leader of the race is in the pits. So now that's going to leave Aiden Hasbrock to put fast laps in here and hopes to see, but we'll definitely keep an eye. So Irfan P11. He's coming through. He is now coming through Sector 3 as Alex Arduin In the pits, he has not leaped yet. He's still sitting there. So that's going to be an interesting one to say the least, as Jaden Munoz works his magic. Casey Bennett in the pit. Cribbs is in the pits. Irfan should be coming through here momentarily. Where's Irfan in the standings? Here he goes through down the front straight. He is going to leap. Actually, he's going to leap Alex Arduin. Looks like Alex Arduin had a lot of damage. Ooh, I think he's repairing a lot of damage. Is he going? Cats with a 30-second stop go. What a shame there by Cats. But Alex Arduin is finally out. And Irfan leapfrogged him, if I'm correct. Wait for the standings to update. He did. Irfan actually did leapfrog. And Casey Bennett looks to be ahead of Alex Arduin here in the standings. So Alex Arduin falling back. So now it's going to allow. So let's take a look. Hopefully the timing board can re-update itself here for me as we go through. So right now what we have is Irfan, Andre Lloyd, Jaden Munoz, and Casey Bennett. So if Andre Lloyd can hold this out, he could look at a very strong finish here in this race. So the endurance level is definitely kicking in here with these drivers. But the question is, can Andre Lloyd going super wide into the dirt as Judkins dives into the pit. So it's definitely an endurance race here, everybody. Take a look. Alex Arduin, he got past Casey Bennett, Andre Lloyd in the back. So where is Mohammed Irfan here in this series? So we see York, Judkins, and Louis Bernard dive into the pits. Let's see, Judkins is coming. His pit stop is done. Take a look. Aiden Hasbrock still has yet to pit. We're already at the halfway mark. Alan Zhu going for the ultra long strat, if I'm correct here with this pit. Aiden is in the pits. Let's see, Wilson Fernandez, does he follow suit? He does. Matt Byrne, does he follow suit? He does not. He's going to stay out, one of the few. As we see Chestnut, he is working his magic. He's going to have Mr. New in front of him. The P17 driver work his magic up the grid as well. So right now we have Irfan, Munoz, Arduin, Casey Bennett, Andre Lloyd. And we see, take a look, Mr. LaRock now all over the back end of Cribbs in this battle of endurance with 28 minutes left to go, everybody. Aiden is done with his pits. We're going to quickly jump over to Irfan. Irfan down the back straight. Did he leapfrog Aiden? He did leapfrog Aiden, so that managed to get that jump there. Aiden was not able to get it, so now that's going to allow Irfan up to P1. Well, technically, once the pit rotations, unless Matt Byrne can put in fast lap after fast lap. With a Byrne, his fastest lap is a 35.4. Aiden's is a 35.2. Wilson Fernandez, 35.7. Irfan did a 37. No, Irfan, where are you? Oh, here you are. 35.4. So the front pack is doing 35s, and everybody else is doing 36s and 37s. Zoo leapfrogging Chestnut there. Zoo trying to stretch that as far as possible before his pit rotation. As Jaden Munoz down into P6. 6.5 seconds off the pace of Alan Zoo. Oh, and Byrne is in the pits. There we go. Byrne is in the pits. Irfan coming through. He's got a blinker stuck on. So we see Byrne. Irfan. Can Irfan get him? see. Byrne is not moving. Irfan's still sitting in the pits, waiting for the green light for Byrne to be done. Irfan is going to get him in here. Now, where's Aiden coming down? Aiden coming down the back straight now. Aiden's going to get him. Wilson Fernandez. Byrne is done. Byrne is coming through. Here comes Wilson. Byrne down into turn. Oh, Wilson's going to get Byrne. Ooh. And Zoo is in the pits. Here comes Munoz. Munoz all over the dirt. Now he's got Alex Arduin to deal with. Alex Arduin flying as fast as he possibly can to try to chase down Munoz. So the question is, I don't think Munoz's strategy worked for him. I think it hurt him a little bit more, slotting himself into that P5 role, because now he's 16.2 with Arduin chasing him down, and Arduin is looking more faster than Munoz here in this race. So we're going to jump down because Pedora, let's see here real quick. Ooh, Arduin. Can Munoz make a move to defend? He does. He sticks it. Super late. We got 25 minutes left. The track is still getting warmer, everybody. As we see Pedora, Zoo, Pedora, Louis Benara, Chrysler York. Alex Arduin on the outside. Munoz cuts the door off there a little bit around the bend here. Who would have thought Alex Arduin having to fall back? He put the car on pole with the fastest time of a 34.4, and now he's sitting there scrapping for a P5 spot in this championship battle here. He is leading the championship fight, but he is all over the back end of Munoz. Munoz now covers the inside. Arduin getting a better run down the front straight. Casey Bennett looking back there to capitalize, down heavy on the brakes. Casey Bennett trying to switch back, not working there. Take a look here. Let's jump along board here. So as we watch them race here, let's take a look real quick. As we watch these two guys battle it out.